is the best time of year. It's the best time of year because postseason is upon us. But these final 2 weeks of the season can keep a manager, a general manager, a president of baseball ops up at night. Take us back to your prep time in this moment. What was the most difficult time? Let's say that you are a manager that you're still not quite in the postseason yet, but you know you're going to get there.
Well, there's nothing tougher, I think, in baseball than closing out a good season. It's like that game's just inch by, and now you're watching every score. You try not to. It's really tough to close out a really good. You've had this great season, then all of a sudden it looks like you're going to make October, but you know that you have to finish the business because the math just doesn't do. There's four different. I say a lot. There's four ways you manage. You manage in spring training a certain way. You manage the regular season a certain way. You manage in September a certain way. And then you manage a little differently in October with a sense of urgency. So it's uneasy. It is because the sense of urgency that you want to have to finish it off and never take anything for granted. While you've got a lot of people around you telling you how great you are, but in a week's time you can be a horse's rear.
But if you are a good manager, can't you keep the team fresh and ready to go? Because it's all on the manager, right?
Yeah, fresh. What is fresh? The last time you were fresh, Eric, was when you got out of the car in spring training. That's the last time. That's what I used to talk to John Harbaugh in Baltimore about it. I said, you guys play once a week, man, with an off week. That's what people that haven't been in the arena don't get. You have different degrees of percentage. Nobody's 100%. That's gone a long time ago. I told a player one time, I said, you realize your 90% is better than his 100%. And it's just, you have different, and that's why the mentality and the emotions are so important in a clubhouse, and people that haven't been in the arena just don't get it.
What do we need to see from teams that are 8 games up, 10 games up, saying what you were talking about, like, oh, everyone's told you the whole season you're so good. Like, look at the Phillies. Yeah, I get it. They're trying for that number 1 seed. But what do we need to see from them as not as far as like Rob Thompson, but as far as a team? Because you want to get guys those days off. I don't attribute to anything to, too many days off, whatever. That's beautiful at the end of the season. But what do you need to see from them if you're watching the game day in and day out?
What's tough, Eric, is you can have a physical day off, but I think you got to be careful about checking out mentally and emotionally for too long. I think the health is what you're looking for of people physically, but trying to mesh the emotional and mental sharpness and not lose that edge. That's why you see a lot of teams get hot get in the last day or so, and they carry it over. And teams that have kind of turned off the faucet with 10 days, 2 weeks to go, have a little trouble turning it back on. That's why, the teams I like right now are the teams. What plays a lot in the offseason is guys that grind and put the ball in play. And you look at certain teams that don't strike out much. They're tough on starting pitchers. The great starting pitchers I've had, the Scherzers, the DeGroms, the Randy Johnsons, the Schillings, the guys that they hated were the guys that would foul off their pitches and make them do it again. Like, they would rather face a guy that's going to strike out 170, 180 times. They know if they make their pitches, he's out. Now, if they make a mistake, the ball ends up where the grass doesn't grow. But they don't like facing, as they called them, the sand fleas. Randy Johnson hated all these guys, I call them the Jeff Rabelais, that would play against him. Randy Velarde, Gerald Williams. These guys, I wouldn't say wore him out, but he didn't care about the 3 and 4 hole hitters. He wanted to know about, how do I get these 8 and 9 hole hitters out?
Buck, how much has managing changed now without the 40-man roster? You mentioned September, but now they only have the 28-man roster, and you were a big proponent of this. How much has it changed? Because you can't give guys day off anymore. You can't give guys, we clinched, let's give a guy 3 days off, because you don't have the players to do it.
That's a big change, AJ. That's a good point. The 2 players, you're taking a pitcher and maybe a position player. And you're really not impacting your club that much. But let's face it, you go to in a doubleheader, they give you another player. I always felt like you should just stay with the 25 or whatever, it takes away from the general manager and the manager and a coaching staff that can manage their team and their roster. You know, now it's kind of robotic. I mean, wait a minute, this guy, let's send him down, get another arm up here. You know, a guy sent me a couple of weeks ago a roster from, I think, I don't know, in the early 80s. They had 13 pitchers all year. All year. Well, that was back when they had a long reliever. Now we're not going to get into back when they play. Nobody wants to hear that. But there's something different here. And the roster manipulation is something that goes on all year. But it is a big change now. It is a big change because a lot of clubs want to look at young players and get a feel for the offseason, but you really can't do it that much anymore.
Managers have so much more responsibility, Buck, you know better than anybody, than just writing in a lineup. I mean, you have to manage personalities, and you have to be a psychiatrist and a psychologist and a counselor and all of the things. And I really believe managers have special relationships with players. How do you value, if you had to vote on a most valuable player, how do you value that player? Because it's not just about the statistics, which is what we're doing right now with Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh, but how do you make a decision over one of those guys?
Well, I do, because I've got to vote, and I won't get into who I'm voting with, but it's just player of the year, not an MVP of each league. And I got to tell you, I'm leaning towards Raleigh because of the position he plays. And I'm getting around to your question with, he's won a Gold Glove last year. He's a plus defensive catcher. AJ could answer that better because some of the people that win Gold Gloves aren't necessarily a great defender the way they evaluate it. Don't get me started. So, but he my question is, would Aaron Judge do the things he's doing offensively if he was catching, I think it's 113 games as of today? Would he, be able to handle a pitching staff? Would he be able to throw runners out with gear on? Would he be able to do the same thing in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark? Would he be able to do the same thing if he was traveling like the Seattle Mariners have to travel? Maybe the worst travel in all of baseball. I try to look at all those factors that play into the value of a player. And he's also having a historical year that I don't know if anybody will ever match again. But, Judge is a great player. I mean, you can make a case for him. And Schwarber's having a great year, and, of course, Ohtani. But I don't know. There's a lot of ways, Alanna, as you well know, that you impact a club. One of the ways when I'm looking at a player in the offseason, I go, will he make his teammates better by putting him on our roster? And you can ask a lot of people that have had him the year before and make the right phone calls. I'm not so sure the phone calls are being made because sometimes the phone calls get in the way of a pure analytical study if you throw a little crimp in the plans because of something that a clubby or a parking attendant or a teammate or an ex-coach may tell you.
Hey, Buck, that's why I never won any Gold Gloves, because you wouldn't vote for me. You were too busy looking at the analytics. So it's cool. Not only did you never hire me as a player, you also never voted for me for a Gold Glove. So I get it, Buck. It's cool. It's fine. Now, on to the next.
You ducked me. That's okay. I tried, and your agent kept telling you that you didn't want to play in New York. I'm kidding. You could have played anywhere.
I would have come back and played for you in New York. But the last few years, I would have had a great time. I would have caught 20 games on one knee. Buck, I would have been the best 20-game player of all time.
Oh, don't get me going. All right. Have you sent AJ? I want to talk to you about catcher interference. There's a team that has 9 of them this year, and there's a team that's lost 3 games this year because of catcher interference, and I just don't get it. I don't get how if you're teaching something that leads to catcher interference, you're teaching it wrong. Okay, catcher interference. The other day, a guy had a guy buried 1-2 in the 9th inning, and catcher interference led to them basically losing the game. I know what I would ask the catching instructor and the player. I know what I would ask them. What's going on here? And what do you think, AJ? What is that all about?
Back up. I think I had 1 catcher's interference in my career, and it was when Placido Polanco threw the bat on a pitch out, and it hit me, and I got called for catcher's interference. I'm like, how is that catcher's interference? He threw the bat at me. But that's a different thing. But back up.
Who's the umpire? Who's the umpire? You remember? I know.
I don't know. I actually don't remember who the umpire was because I didn't get ejected, which is shocking. But I don't remember. But I was like, I didn't know that was a rule. If he lets the bat go and it hits me, So why don't I just pick a bat up and chuck it at the first baseman? If it hits him, I get first. That'd be awesome, right? If I'm in 2 strikes, just throw my bat backwards. Like, that'll work.
Umpire's wrong there. I wish I'd have been there.
Well, anyways. But, yes, catcher's interference is a thing because they try to get too close and they try to steal that low strike, right? Back up. You only got to back up a few inches. It's not like you're backing up a couple feet. Back up a couple inches and you can still steal it. But all the catchers reach out so far now.
Poor. Can't happen. Can't happen.
It's because the people that created this style of catching have never lost a season or not made the playoffs by one game. They've never lost that one last playoff game by one run because they don't see the value in that one single run that could have been prevented had you just scooted back. They don't see it. They haven't been in the trenches. It's hard to tell them that, and those are the people that are dominating that discussion, and they find value in it.
Did you guys, Alanna, Erik, and AJ, did you guys see it in the 6th inning last night of the Padre game? Someone sent it to me. Man on second, I believe, 2 outs, long single to right field. Araz hits it over there. And the catcher's running at second. Not that he's necessarily slow, but most catchers are. Well, Manny's the on-deck hitter, and we used to talk in spring training about the on-deck hitter having to relay a sense of urgency to the runner. I know as a third base coach, when a guy comes around, you know there's a play on a trail runner, you're going through the plate. And this guy was kind of jogging the last 3 steps, and Ross got thrown out at second, and they didn't get the run by half a step. And last night it didn't bite them, but those are the things that Erik is talking about. The little, 1/2 a foot that kept them from scoring a run. They didn't allow the run because the out was made at second. The on-deck hitter has a job to do, and Manny knows that. I'm surprised.
He was clearly not taught properly when he first got called up by his manager. So maybe that's what it was. It wasn't Manny's fault. His manager, when he was a rookie,
exactly.
didn't drill it into him. All right, as a manager.
It happened in the Braves game last night, too. The Braves game yesterday, I don't know why Ozuna tried to go to third, but actually the guy who was running was I forget who was on deck. It might have been Profar, was like, hurry up. He was actually telling him to hurry up, and he missed it by, a foot too. But I don't know why, if you watch, it's so crazy. Ozuna shouldn't have gone to third.
AJ, you remember you and Erik, you remember how that used to be taken care of in the clubhouse? When that guy got back to the dugout or in the clubhouse, oh my God. That was my RBI. Just think, that could have been your RBI, your Derek Jeter moment.
Right?
Yep. See?
AJ
still hasn't let it go.
Yep.
AJ still hasn't let it go.
Nope, never.
I haven't either.
I could go to the Hall of Fame if it wasn't for that one RBI,
Kratz, I'm going to steal a line right from the top here about MeUndies. A cut for every butt. I took a line that I feel like you would enjoy, but then you stole my thunder with show and tell. What do you have there?
Besides a huge Baduka dunk, this is my pair of MeUndies that I got. I'm not going to show you the other pair right now because I got them on, but it doesn't even feel like you have them on. Super soft, flexible, and yet holding everything together.
I love the 20 different styles, 100 different colors and prints, and the micro-modal fabric is what you're talking about. Breathable, stretchy, unbelievably cozy. And right now, as a listener of FT, you can get cozy and spooky for less with deals up to 50% off at MeUndies.com/foul and enter promo code FOUL. That's MeUndies.com/foul, promo code FOUL for up to 50% off. MeUndies, comfort that's made for fall.
Shohei Ohtani kind of insinuated that, we're having discussions about possibly playing the outfield in the postseason, possibly throwing out bullpen. Like they're discussing everything. Would you as a manager have enough trust to put somebody, 1, out of the bullpen, which he's never done in the big leagues, 2, go catch some fly balls in the outfield in the playoffs, which he's never done also?
That's a good question. Without us being there and knowing him like they know him, and Dave Roberts is obviously a very good manager and knows his players. I've been saying for a couple of years when people ask me about Ohtani, Yeah, I've always thought that I would DH him and make him the closer, where he hits for 8 innings, and that way he can impact your game every night as a hitter and a pitcher. And I think he would be a really good closer. We talked about that with Zach Britton years ago and Jim Johnson. A lot of these teams that are searching for a closer, they need to just start looking at their starters in the minor leagues and develop one. You can do that. But I've always thought, and then today I see something about him maybe pitching out of the bullpen. I said, well, geez, there's a novel thought. But, the rules and with the DH and putting him in the game and all the other stuff make it very attractive to make him a closer. I mean, what do you guys think?
No.
Can't happen. No, can't happen. Alanna would cry if something would happen to her Shohei, but you also can't do it because if something happened, you don't want to lose Shohei in the game, and then he has to come up and hit in the 10th. We don't have the zombie runner at second base anymore. I don't think it's going to happen.
If there is one person that could probably do it just based on talent alone, it's Shohei Ohtani. But I still don't want him out there. I don't want him coming out of the bullpen. I don't want him in the outfield. No.
Well, let me ask you, Alanna, what's more of a physical risk, him pitching past the 5th inning or closing 1 inning a game about every 3 days?
Pitching past the 5th inning.
So that's what he's doing now. So you're actually doing him a favor.
But they're not letting him go past 5 right now, Buck. They took him out. He had a no-hitter through 5, and they yanked him because they didn't want him to – they're sticking to that script.
Yeah. Yeah, when that script breaks and the teleprompter doesn't work anymore, that's when you get to really see some interesting things.
Buck, who is it? Who are the best teams that you're watching? Who do you think is going to be facing off in the World Series? And I checked. You can't pick 2 National League teams to face off in the World Series.
Well, I know who I like and pull for a little bit because I love how Toronto's doing it. They're a pain for a pitcher. They grind they don't strike out much. They put the ball in play. They're fun to watch. I like the Brewers. I think the type of game they plays in the offseason. Now, I also like the Padres from that standpoint. I think they're another team. If they just get in, once you get that monkey off your back of just getting in, there's a certain relief but how do you keep that edge? I think Toronto's for real. Everybody kept thinking, they wouldn't be able to hold on. Well, guess what? At every turn, they're answering a lot of questions. I know Chris Bassett. I know Max Scherzer. I know Kevin Gausman. I mean, these guys, they're competitive. They're baseball players that happen to be pitchers. There's a lot of pitchers that are just baseball players because they're on the team, so to speak. But these guys are baseball players who happen to be pitchers. And, you would play in a sandlot with them. So I like where they are. I like the Brewers and the game they play. I think it plays in a series. They just grind on you too much. And I think the Padres are a little bit of a sleeper too. I don't think people understand how good their pitching is at times.
Well, that's because you're like Alanna. You're like a homer for Manny Machado, like Alanna is for the Dodgers. So we get it. It's okay. We get that's why you like the Padres.
You have to be.
We totally understand. Okay. Well, so I'm sitting here in Cincinnati before I let you go. And there's 1, 2, 3 players out here with no shirt on, no shoes, just shorts, just walking around the outfield. Is that something that you had ever seen when your managerial days of just guys walking in the outfield with basically no clothes on except shorts?
Let me ask you a question. Are they barefoot?
They're grounding.
Barefoot. All they have on is shorts.
They're grounding.
All they have on is shorts.
Adam Ottavino sold me on that. He would go out and walk barefoot. Can y'all explain me that whole thing? Because
Yes.
Adam's operating on a different level.
Well, it's called grounding. It's like supposed to be this like natural sensation of your feet touching the grass, and it's supposed to give you like some sort of healing and all of the things. Some like voodoo.
Okay, is that the same thing? These guys on the PGA Tour, they're putting and they have to walk the line and feel it in their feet?
That's actually something. They're actually feeling it.
Slope.
They're
Yeah,
feeling
they're feeling the slope of the
AJ, here's the deal.
That's aim point. That's aim point, Buck.
Okay. I'm just trying to,
That's what one of your good friends does sometimes. Except the Mark might go forward with him. I don't know. I'm just saying.
You talking about DeChambeau? I got
no.
I got a conversation with him the other day. He's a beauty. I love the guy. He doesn't really care what you think. If you don't like the way he goes about golf, then hey, that's okay. I'm okay with it. But anyway, the whole thing in the outfield, and whatever. Who cares? There's enough battles that are more important. I mean, who really cares? I mean, all the stuff about, I basically had to enforce stuff that owners wanted to enforce. That's what people miss. Steinbrenner was one way, Colangelo was similar, so was Peter Angelos, Tom Hicks. The owners, the first time I really got to an owner that kind of didn't care was Steve Cohen. So basically, as a manager, you're just enforcing the rules that the owner wants. If you don't like them, you're not working.
What's the weirdest thing that somebody made you enforce that you're like, this is a non-issue? You don't have to say the manager, but like, this is a non-issue. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is what is on the top of your mind.
I got to tell you, one of the keys, this is going to sound crazy, Alanna, one of the keys to turning it around a little bit in Baltimore was when I got Peter Angelos to okay goatees. Y'all are going to think I'm crazy, but when I walked in and I talked to him about how important it was to the players and whatever, if it's important to the players, it better be important to us, I told him. And whether or not just because we were brought up a certain way, it shouldn't matter. I mean, and when I walked in the clubhouse and told them that we could have trimmed, well-manicured goatees, you'd have thought that I had delivered the Holy Grail. Oh, my gosh, there's a new sheriff in town. Now, the problem now is what is a neat, well-trimmed? I mean, Markakis's beard would grow. You could hear it grow. He had to shave twice a day. I mean, he goes, Buck, I shaved this morning. What are you talking about? And I would always have the players police it, and it was a little bit better that way.